August 2024, one of the most anticipated movies of the year hit theaters. It was a story about a woman who stayed silent while the people around her looked away. The irony of what came next is almost too on the nose. Blake Lively. You knew her as Serena Van der Woodsen, as Ryan Reynolds' wife, as the woman who made every red carpet look completely effortless. America's sweetheart, Hollywood royalty, untouchable. But by January 2026, her public approval had collapsed from 81% down to just 10.6% in under 3 years. How does that happen to someone that popular? That is exactly what we're going to find out. Because this is not a gossip story, this is a story about power, image, and what happens when Hollywood turns on its own. Welcome to The Receipt. Blake Ellender Brown was born in 1987 in Los Angeles. Her father, Ernie Lively, was an actor. Her mother, Elaine, was a talent scout. She grew up on sets. Hollywood wasn't a dream for her, it was just Tuesday. At 19, she landed Serena Van der Woodsen in Gossip Girl, a role that made her a household name overnight. Glamorous, magnetic, and completely aspirational in a way that felt almost real. She married Ryan Reynolds in 2012, quietly, privately, and together they built one of the most carefully constructed brands in Hollywood history. Funny on social media, devoted parents, normal in the way that two extraordinarily famous people can perform normal and make it look genuine. America didn't just like them, America trusted them. And that trust was the foundation of everything that would later be used against her and by her. In 2016, author Colleen Hoover published a novel called It Ends With Us. It was a story about domestic violence, raw, painful, and deeply personal. Hoover based parts of it on her own mother's experience. It was not an easy read. It was not supposed to be. The book sat quietly for years. Then Book Talk happened. By 2022, it was one of the best-selling novels in America. And that visibility put it directly in the path of a director looking for his defining project. Justin Baldoni was known mostly for the TV series Jane the Virgin. He had founded Wayfarer Studios specifically to make what he called purpose-driven content. Films with a message, films that mattered. It Ends With Us was supposed to be exactly that. On December 31st, 2022, Blake Lively signed on to play Lily Bloom, the lead. She was also given an executive producer credit, standard for talent of her level. At the time, both sides were publicly excited. The working relationship started warmly, but something shifted on set. And the receipts of that shift would eventually become the most talked about messages in Hollywood history. According to Blake Lively's legal complaint, problems began in May 2023, before production even wrapped. She alleged Baldoni repeatedly entered her makeup trailer uninvited, including when she was breastfeeding. She alleged inappropriate comments about her body. She alleged he improvised intimate scenes without her consent, lingering in kisses, adding unscripted physical actions. She alleged he discussed his porn addiction in front of others on set, and she alleged that Wayfarer CEO Jamie Heath, unprompted, showed her a video of his wife giving birth. Baldoni denied all of it. His legal team called the allegations, quote, categorically false. In private messages later released in court filings, Baldoni wrote that most of what he had been accused of was, and this is from the court record, social awkwardness and impulsive speech. He also cited his neurodivergence. The premiere told a story without a single word being spoken. Blake Lively arrived with her family. Baldoni arrived separately. They did not take one photo together on the red carpet of the film they had just made together. The film grossed $347 million worldwide, a genuine commercial success. The relationship behind it had completely collapsed. In December 2024, the New York Times published an investigation that changed everything. It detailed how Baldoni's crisis PR team had allegedly built a coordinated strategy to damage Lively's public reputation in retaliation for her complaints. Fake social media accounts, coordinated posts, a digital operation designed, according to Lively's legal team, to turn public opinion against her before her story could be told. Co-star Jenny Slate, in her deposition, described Baldoni as, and this is directly from unsealed court records, the biggest clown and the most intense narcissist she'd ever worked with. Taylor Swift, who is the godmother of one of Lively and Reynolds' children, texted Lively a profanity about Baldoni after he gave an interview describing being sexually traumatized by a former girlfriend. Swift's attorneys later said she felt violated when those private texts were unsealed by the court. Within days of Lively's public allegations, the co-host of Baldoni's own podcast, Man Enough, resigned. She posted about her departure without naming him directly. The silence said everything. On December 31st, 2024, Blake Lively filed a federal lawsuit against Baldoni, Wayfarer Studios, his publicists, and his CEO. She alleged sexual harassment, retaliation, and an unlawful coordinated smear campaign. She is seeking nearly $500 million in damages. Baldoni responded on two fronts. He sued the New York Times for $250 million, claiming libel. That lawsuit was dismissed in June 2025 under anti-SLAPP laws protecting free speech. He then filed a $400 million countersuit against Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and their publicist, alleging extortion and defamation. That countersuit was also dismissed entirely. Baldoni missed his deadline to refile. His lawsuits are gone. Hers is not. Now let's talk about the numbers. Because they tell a story, words almost cannot. In March 2023, when Lively's casting was first announced, her public approval rating was 81%. By January 2026, it had fallen to 10.6%. Baldoni's dropped from 62.5% down to 8.7% over the same period. Both of them lost the public. Well, but Lively, who was far more famous going in, had far more to lose. Her social media during the film's press tour struck many viewers as tone deaf against the backdrop of a domestic violence story. She was posting about cocktails and fashion, while the film was meant to spark a serious conversation. Her team called it an intentional light and shade strategy. The internet called it something else entirely. And Baldoni's PR operation, if Lively's allegations are proven true, was already pouring fuel on that fire. Zoom out for a moment. Because this story is not really about Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. It is about a system where powerful people on both sides of any dispute have entire armies of PR professionals and lawyers whose job is not to find the truth, but to control the narrative. Lively alleged Baldoni built a machine to bury her. Baldoni alleged Lively weaponized sexual harassment claims to steal his film. And the public, consuming all of it in 30-second clips, made up their minds before any of it had been proven in court. Judge Lyman himself described this case as, quote, a feud between PR firms. That single line might be the most honest summary of what this entire saga has been. Two powerful people. Two PR armies. And a public caught in the crossfire trying to figure out who to believe. Blake Lively went from America's sweetheart to one of the most polarizing figures in Hollywood in under 3 years. Whether that is the result of a coordinated smear campaign, her own missteps, or both, is exactly what a federal jury will be asked to decide on May 18th, 2026. The film was called It Ends With Us. The story behind the film? That one is far from over. That's the receipt. Subscribe and never get the surface version again. New story dropping every week will be here.